Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to the MMA Short Show. As always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. And guys, UFC 289 just ended. Had to get the fresh poster. Shouts out to my ladies at B-Dubs. They're always taking care of me. But, I mean, seriously, guys, UFC 289 just ended 20 minutes ago, probably. And, it's no shocker here. Amanda Nunes retiring after a huge win. Like, I don't know about you guys. I just didn't think that was that big of a shocker. I pretty much thought that was going to happen. Outside of the Juliana Pena 3 fight, like the trilogy, I just didn't think there was anything left for her. Honestly, there's nobody out there. I personally, I'm a big Valentina fan, but, Alexa Grasso just beat her. So, like, Valentina's got at least that fight and then maybe a trilogy fight before she can even get to Amanda Nunes. But, shouts out to Amanda Nunes. Definitely, in my opinion, the GOAT of women's, MMA. And especially, I hate this shit. I hate it, guys. I hate in every sport that every year we got to talk about a new GOAT, new thing, everything. Like, even in the NBA right now, it's super fucking annoying. Even though the Nuggets are looking amazing, it's annoying hearing Jokic and Murray, the best. Are they the GOAT, duo since freaking LeBron and D-Wade or whatever? They do that with everybody. They do with, everybody in MMA. It's the most annoying thing in the world. But, in this little instance, Amanda Nunes does deserve it. Outside of a little slip up with Juliana Pena, in her early years of the UFC, whatever, like, this girl has done everything she's ever needed to, has looked amazing. She goes down with, like, Demetrius Johnson as, some of the most, like, unappreciated champions of all time. Like, shouts out to her, all week, all month I've been calling. Ever since Juliana Pena backed out, even with Juliana Pena's fight, I think Amanda Nunes was gonna absolutely destroy whoever she was put in front of. Like I said, like, GSP had his thing with Matt Serra. Anderson Silva had his little scare there with Chael Sonnen, but luckily for him, came back and won in the 5th round. Like, when we're talking, I can go on forever, but, like, when we're talking about GOATs and, like, true, like, masters of MMA and, like, people that we're gonna be thinking about forever, like, these people, every single one of them go through some sort of crazy, moment where they're like, oh man, we gotta, we just woke up, lit the fire under their ass. Like John Jones with, his Gus first fight. Like, luckily he got through the decision, but, put a fire under his ass. And, it's with everything. Like, Amanda Nunes losing to Juliana Pena is the whole reason I did not expect, Irene Aldana even have a chance. And, even though I didn't think she had a chance, I thought she would put up a bigger fight than what she put up tonight. Like, I'm not trying to shit on her or whatever. And I felt like I gave Amanda Nunes her flowers. But Irene Aldana, girl, from the jump, when she was walking out, kind of looked scared. I was there with John Anik. I was like, yeah, John Anik's on to something. I think I agree with him. She's looked scared all night. Even I don't like, guys, I think it's different when these guys are up and coming or they do have respect for each other. Like, if it's a huge name, like if Amanda Nunes was fighting, Holly Holm or fucking, Ronda Rousey, like she did, all these, different names that are like, deserve respect, Cyborg and all these things. It's one thing to, tap hands or whatever, or tap gloves in every round, but the way Irene Aldana was doing it with Amanda Nunes, you just kind of felt like she gave way too much respect, and you heard it through her entire, like, her corner the entire fight and everything, and you could see it in her. Like, I just didn't see a way she had to win, and I know a victory, a path to victory tonight, and I know everybody's talking about, oh, she's got this knockout power and stuff. Like, where? Because I ain't see it whatsoever. Like, she does against, middle class, women. No offense to them, but I mean, Amanda Nunes is top of the top. She got touched there in the 1st round, the first time Irene Aldana threw something, but after that, it was kind of embarrassing, man. Like, especially, like, I know it's not fair to her either, but, like, her best friend Alexa Grasso, or if not best friend, like, her best training partner, they've been training forever, for her to go out there and put the heart out, and, literally gave no respect to Valentina, and for her to go out there and finish her and beat the women's, argued one of the women's GOATs. And then, same with Yair Rodriguez, same with, Brendan Moreno, like the Mexican fighters, the Mexican heart that we see. Like, it was just sad not to see it from Irene Aldana. And I think she's really going to be kicking herself when she goes back and rewatches this fight. I wanted to see what that game plan was, but we just kind of never got it. I don't know if they just had so much respect and so much faith in that knockout power, but I don't know. I just didn't really see a victory there, or a path to victory, and it was an upsetting one. But, man, the actual main event that deserves to be talked about, man, Charles Oliveira, Beneil Dariush. Oh, my God. What a fucking fight, man. Like, whew. At first, I was kind of worried all week, all month, all 2 months, whatever, that we've been looking for, because I know this fight was supposed to be on the last pay-per-view. But, I've been sitting there like, damn, like, I'm a big believer in the MMA gods. I don't know about you guys, but, like, I'm a big believer in the golf gods, basketball gods, all these different things. I really feel like there's some sort of like karma, like, thing over sports, and especially in big moments. And I kind of thought the run that Beneil Dariush was on, I was like, man, this is too good to just lose right now at the title, at the doorstep of the title, at the precipice of the title. And Charles Oliveira just says, all right, I'm just going to toy with you a little bit. Like, he comes out, I know he was going for a takedown to be on top, but, after he realized that wasn't going to work and the cage got in the way, he was pretty cool at, giving up the bottom ground and, completely working from the bottom. And not only was his defense good, especially on his back with freaking Beneil Dariush throwing at least, goddamn, he threw at least 30, 40 punches, but I think he only landed maybe 2, and one of them might have been clean. And he was just working well. And then as soon as Charles wanted to get up, and honestly, shouts out to Beneil too, because that was one of my things I was talking about, leading up. His fucking flexibility is unreal. We got to see it a little bit there, and when Charles, went for the one leg lock or the knee bar, and you could see that Benny got that flexibility, boy. But as soon as Charles wants to get up, he's getting up. And I'm not trying to sit here and sound like I know everything or whatever, but from what I've been watching, I definitely thought Charles was going to be way better in the stand up, because he's been leaps and bounds better throughout his career, especially compared to Benny. And look what happened. Charles goes out there and just wows her in the first round. Just, there's this thing with him right now, man. It's euphoric. I don't even know what it is, dude. He looks so unbeatable when he's on, and I know Islam's the shit, and I truly think Islam, just got the better of him that night. But I've been saying it forever too. Like, if you guys go back and look, if you want to count the Tony fight, this man went through Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, all within like 13 months, and then they threw him against Islam within like the 15-month mark, maybe 16 months, like a year and a half. He fights these 5 killers who are at the top of the division, and then you count his 6th fight 6 months later with Beneil Dariush. This man has taken out everybody except Islam. Clearly, but I want to see that fight again, dude. I really kind of. When you see a performance like this from Charles Oliveira, and you see these fighters, like, even when, like, I remember when Kamaru Usman beat Emil Meek, and he was sitting there, like, talking about, oh, it was only like 30% of me. You want to sit there at the time and be like, yeah, okay, come on now. But once they go on to prove how good they can look, this is one of those performances, man. You kind of got to believe Charles. It's like, okay, maybe you really were at whatever 20%, 40%, 60%, whatever he said he was against Islam, and now he says he's 120% against Benny, and he looked fucking amazing. So, shouts out to Charles. But one thing I need to talk about, man, Charles Oliveira, this guy went from, I know he was like one of the biggest prospects ever coming into the UFC, but like, we got to see his early run. His couple fights there that people were calling him quitters. Like I said, I've referenced the Paul Felder and Max Holloway fights multiple times, but we've seen him lose. We've seen him get beat by people that he probably shouldn't lose to, especially for the hype that he's gotten. Especially we've seen, how he fights now. Like, his dude, he's very capable of being one of the best fighters ever. But just to see him come from everything and to see what he's been doing, man, it's so cool to see his fans. He's become one of the biggest pop stars in the UFC out of nowhere. Like, I honestly felt like his loss against Islam made him even bigger. And I don't know if you guys are noticing it, but dude, I'm noticing it everywhere on my Twitter, YouTube, even people at the bar tonight. Like, there wasn't that many people at B-Dubs tonight, but boy, was there a lot of Charles fans out there. Like, good God, he got a big pop at the bar. So, I couldn't imagine. It sounded loud as hell at the arena, and they're in Canada, for God's sake. So, shouts out to Charles. I hope he gets that chance. Because I'm truly here. I'm not here to see Conor McGregor get another title fight. I'm not here to see Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje get another title fight. Like, dude, I'm here to see true people actually get. Like, I guess Justin Gaethje, I'd actually be down. I feel like he's like a legit fighter. But these Conor McGregors that are just here picking the big fights. Dustin Poirier I love Dustin. Don't get me wrong. I think he actually has a lot to give. Fits to Islam, but we've seen how that goes. I just don't know if he's as hungry as he was once, but I think Justin Gaethje still is. Islam still is. Like, these are some of them guys I want to see fight Charles or Islam, and I think Charles is the main one. I think he's got the recipe to beat him. So, I think if those guys fight 10 times, it might. I think there's going to be a different outcome every single time. I know somebody's got to win one of the two, so I know it's technically 50-50, but I'm just saying one time I think Islam could knock out Charles. The next time I think Charles could finish. I think he can honestly sub Islam. I think Islam could sub Charles like we've seen. These guys could finish each other either way. That's how fucking talented these guys are. So, if we're in at 155 for a making of something like, even though it's one of the most stacked cards, but if we're in the making of like a Divas and Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, like we're about to get it 4 times, I'm all in. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm all in. Kind of like I was there with Valentina versus Amanda there for a while. Like I'm all in. You guys can throw me in there. So we'll see how that goes for sure. Freaking was it Mike Malik got a huge fucking win in Canada. Shouts out to him. The body kicks, good God, the way he just dove onto that choke, fucking nasty. Shouts out to that guy. Canada going, 5-0 tonight, 6-0 tonight. Absolutely filthy. The Dan Ige, Nate the Train fight, absolutely phenomenal. Dan Ige has like officially taken that step, and he's like a vet now. He's officially a vet. I remember watching Dan Ige, when he fought Rob Font, when he had some big fights there where it's like he came out the wrong end. I feel like he's like finally to where those guys were finally. He's giving out those lessons now, and it's such a beautiful thing to watch just how the cookie crumbles in for MMA, especially careers. Like unless you're like an outlier, like if you're a champion and everything, that's one thing. But, for the average person who's going to have a longer career that might never get the title shot or might get a title shot but maybe never become champion or might only become a champion for one fight, like, we do see these guys that, they start off young, they get a hot, big fight that, just sounds attractive, but then it's just a little too much for them to chew or to bite off or whatever and to chew. So they, of course they lose, but then a couple fights later, they've learned so much from these fights. Like, I think that's what Dan Ige just did for Nate, Loudwire or Loudwire or whatever the fuck, Landwire. I don't even know how to say his last name, Nate the Train. But, I just think the heart that Nate showed was fucking phenomenal. Dan Ige, his all-around game, like, I love these guys, man. Like the RDAs and shit of the world. We're starting to see the next, everybody pretty much that right now. But I like when you get to finally see it all come together and everybody's just so well-rounded. It's ridiculous. So shouts out to Dan Ige, fucking phenomenal. Eric Anders had a phenomenal fight. Honestly, the whole night. But, the one thing I need to say, man, shouts out to Chris Curtis. I feel bad for the guy. Two fucking headbutts that have a huge play in his fights. This one, completely cancels it. Even though I thought Nasruddin Imavov was looking amazing, it's still Chris Curtis. He could land that dude's so explosive. He can land anything at one moment. He looked like he was actually starting to get something going a little bit, and then gets a fucking headbutt, cuts his eye open, and even with the Kelvin Gastelum fight, I know Chris Curtis just went on a huge blocking spree on Twitter, and luckily I made it through. I didn't get blocked because I actually like the guy, but it was sad to see him, go on a big Twitter rampage and everything over the Kelvin Gastelum headbutt, and like that was the reason he lost and all these things. Like, it's not something I want to see, but at the same time, dude, like he's passionate about his fucking, and that's the thing, man, too. That's the other thing, man. He's so passionate and he cares about his fucking career. And that's the other thing, man. The last little thing I want to say about this fight card is all them people out there hating on Chris Curtis and talking shit about like, oh, if you really wanted to fight, then don't say you can't see. Dude, you know how torn you got to be in that moment? You're fighting an absolute fucking murderer and you only have one eye. So, like, there's that, like, partial fear that hits you where you're like, fuck, do I keep going? Like, because I could get fucking killed here. And, like, maybe I should just take it. And then you go, no, I want to fight. I do want to fight because the fighter's in you. If you're a fucking UFC fighter, the fighter's in you. But then at the same time, you really can't see. And then you're like, fuck, man, I really can't see. You're pissed off. And it's because these guys are fucking passionate, man. These guys cares about their fucking careers. They care about their lives. Their lives are on the line in many ways. And I hate seeing people say that shit, like, oh, he pussied out and shit. Dude, you guys go get poked in the eye. I'm not, luckily on my, my years of Muay Thai training and shit, I've never got poked in the eye crazy. I've got some nasty nut shots, but like, dude, I've gotten poked in the eye one time in basketball off a rebound, and dude, like 2 knuckles went into my eye. Guys, I couldn't fucking open my eye for, Jesus Christ, two fucking months it felt like, but it was probably like a legitimate hour that I couldn't open my eye, like, and it hurt like a motherfucker, like, dude. And I've always been the type that's like watching, like, in the MMA fights and shit, when you guys see a guy get like barely tapped in the eye, you guys go get poked in the fucking eye real quick, and you let me know how that shit feels. That shit is the worst pain ever, and I couldn't imagine how it would feel in a fucking fight, or like even a headbutt to the eye. Like, come on, guys, come on now. Like, let's be real here. This dude wants to fucking fight. You could tell it. He's never backed down from a fight. The dude's always in there. Like, come on now. Let's be realistic with Chris Curtis here now. So, as always, your boy Stephen Moustaris, UFC 289 in the books. Probably, I feel bad for people that went out there and paid for it, honestly, because I didn't think it was worth it all like that. But honestly, this fight card delivered, and I'd love to see what's next in women's MMA. Shout out to Amanda Nunes. I don't see why she would even hang on Shout out to Charles. I feel bad for Benny. Some crazy shit. So let's go, baby. As always, your boy Steven Moustaris. Let's go. Let's go.